If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do have a few people who are zooming into the meeting, including several department heads. So, Linda, can you call the roll, please?
Councilor Mark Hammer.
Here.
Councilor Adam Cohen.
Here.
Councilor Stacy Langdon. Here. Councilor Veronica Pedro.
Here. Am I loud enough?
Councilor Cody Eckert.
Here.
And Councilor Dave Murray.
Here.
And Councilor Jake Whitener.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Our next item of business is public petitions and comments, and I'd like to call forward Mike Richmond from Main Street Greencastle for a brief announcement.
Good evening, everybody.
Mike.
I wasn't sure if I was going to need permission from the council to do this, so I'm here as just kind of a heads up and a public service announcement. Main Street's going to be moving our trick-or-treat off of the square this year, and we are going to do a drive-through trunk-or-treat out at Big Walnut Sports Park. It'll be 2 hours before the city's hours, so 4 to 6 on Halloween evening. We just got our health plan approved about 3 hours ago, so we were good there, and got approval from the park board last week. So again, it'll be a drive-through style. Everybody will stay in their cars. Our vendors will line the kind of northernmost part of the parking lots right by the soccer fields. So this is just kind of a heads up to the city council that that'll be going on, and a call out. I know everybody is in separate organizations and nonprofits. If you are interested in joining, just let me know. We'll have a vendor agreement for everybody that comes out to sign, so we can keep everybody safe during the event. That's all.
Thank you, Mike.
What are you hoping that the
Take questions, I guess.
what are you hoping that the nonprofits or others that would come out? Are you hoping they pass out candy like as people go through?
Yeah, it's just an opportunity for there's no vendor fees. There's no this isn't any sort of a fundraising event. It's really just a do-good event for the community. So nonprofits can come pass out information if they would like, but it's mainly just a community event.
What I read in the topics yesterday, it sounded like it's pretty well thought out there as far as traffic flow and everything. So I think it's a great plan.
I just got a email from Tom and John yesterday. We've got an email chain going about how to best go about this. So I think it should be just fine.
Yeah.
Keep traffic down and keep it off the highway. That's the main goal.
Yep. Good.
Thank you for thinking outside the box.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Have a good night.
Are there any other public petitions or comments for anything unrelated to the agenda this evening? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to special requests. Gail Smith has withdrawn her street closure request. And so our next item is parking request from Old National. Kara Gooden is online. So Kara, you can state your request, please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and council members. So our unit has been positioned here now for about 8 days. We've had great usage out of this. We've had over 77 people use the ATM. What's the interesting factor is it's not just the ONB customers, it's 63% foreign transaction fees, showing that there is a good need downtown for an ATM. What we're asking for here is we do have a lease agreement through the 17th of October. Our parking lot is just a little bit behind schedule. We try to help accommodate with our build some drainage issues for the city, and that issue has slowed our parking lot down just a tad. They are thinking that our parking lot is going to be done on November 9th, and we are asking that the ATM remain where it is until that parking lot is complete, and then we will move it.
Our meeting Our next meeting next month is the 12th, I believe, isn't it? Okay. So, I mean, I'd hate for you to request it to the 9th and then be caught a couple of days short, because it might start raining sometime. So I'm okay with potentially extending it to the 12th and maybe the 13th. That'd be Friday the 13th?
12th and 13th. What, of October or November? Because we do have
November.
an agreement to the 17th. November?
Yeah, November, and that way you'd go beyond that 9th by a few days, and then if you needed another extension because of whatever, you could come back at our meeting on the 12th and ask for another week or so.
That's perfectly fine with me, and I appreciate the accommodation. It is not just ONB customers. It is being very fruitful to people that do not bank at Old National Bank, and I think it's a nice present. It is the first time a banking center has deployed the mobile unit, so we're all learning together, and it's becoming quite a conversation piece, and it's very accessible for people that are doing dining downtown.
And Mark, that's consistent with what we've been doing with everybody, so.
Exactly.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Okay, I'll make it a motion.
What date do you want to confirm that?
The 13th. That way it goes through the next day. And of course, if you get done on the 9th, you can feel free to move it on the 9th.
Okay, no, I think I just talked to my GM that's building the building site, and it seems to be falling into place, and the 13th of November will be perfect, and hopefully we'll move it way before that date.
Lori will want us to say through the 13th, correct, Lori?
Right, and then also, we'll have to do a little short amendment. I'll get it to you.
So you okay with through the 13th, Mark?
Certainly.
Keep Lori happy.
Yes, exactly. We want to do that.
That's our main goal.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agreement with Old National through November 13th, and that'll take place by virtue of an amended agreement based on the original agreement that we had with them. So is there any further questions or discussion?
Just one quick question here, just a general question, Kara. Jake Widener here. I'm just curious if you've heard any feedback from some of the businesses on that street as well, if they've seen any increased usage and if it's maybe benefited their businesses, or if you've heard any feedback from the other businesses located on that street.
I know that was a question directed toward me, but I could barely hear that.
Kara, Jake was asking if you had heard any feedback from the adjoining businesses as to whether or not their traffic had increased.
Well, you know, Bridges, Tap House, everybody down that road are my clients. They've all had very positive feedback off of this. I've not had any negative feedback, have you?
I've not heard anything.
You said what percentage was foreign transaction?
66.
I'm sorry?
The question was you stated a percentage of foreign transactions.
That there.
Yeah, we're averaging right now about 63% of foreign transactions. That means non-ONB clients.
I think that says a lot to its impact right there.
This isn't a question for Kara, but for this body, I just want to clarify what the status of our street closure for there is, and make sure that dates are consistent and that we're not pushing something ahead of.
The street is back open. Moore's Bar requested that they were not going to do any more dining in the street after October 4th.
Okay.
Any further questions?
So does that create any issues as far as, I mean, it's in a couple of parking spots,
Yeah,
right?
no, we took care of all that when we started.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Kara, it passed, so we'll let you get with Lori to work on the agreement, and thanks for zooming in tonight.
Yes, thank you very much. You all have a very good evening.
Thanks, Kara.
That was me.
Okay, our next item of special request is a street closure request from Wasser Brewing Company, and Chris Weeks is here to make the request.
Ladies and gentlemen, am I 6 feet from you?
You're good.
Okay. So I'm asking you guys tonight to make a decision based on the well-being of the community. And I think that having more people have the opportunity to enjoy live music is a benefit, obviously, to us and also to the community at large. I know in the past when there have been street closures requested, there seemed to be trepidation about having people from outside of Greencastle come out here when we are in a relatively good position as far as COVID compared to urban areas. Yet this is a different case because based on our reservations, this is an event that local people are attending. I don't expect people from out of town to come to town for this. It's a band that, the Average House Band's a band that's been around forever, favorite of many local people, and I just don't foresee people coming here from Indianapolis to come to the band. I also believe it's a decision that is the most safe decision. If people are outside, they are less likely to be exposed to COVID because you have fresh air, you have air moving. It is a safer decision to have people outside than it is to have people inside. We all know this is a terribly difficult time for local businesses. I don't think the case of how difficult it is can be understated. It is terribly difficult right now. When you look at maintaining a community and having local businesses, locally owned businesses, there are several benefits to locally owned businesses. One, locally owned businesses provide more money to charities based on revenue than large corporations that are not local. Local businesses provide leadership among many civic organizations, many charity organizations, many groups are comprised to a large degree of local businesses, local business people. And then the reality is locally owned businesses are essential to a stable economy. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the details of the meltdown in Puerto Rico following the hurricanes. Essentially, the reason that everything melted down in Puerto Rico is all of their industry, all of their factories were owned by multinational corporations from the mainland. All of the food was shipped from the mainland to Puerto Rico, and they had no locally owned businesses, no local supply chains, no local farmers. So when the large multinational corporations from the mainland chose to leave, there was a huge vacuum in Puerto Rico because their economy had been dependent on outside businesses. And I would certainly hope we don't head in the direction of Puerto Rico. The other reason I think it's a good decision to allow us to have the event outside is this is a terribly difficult time for everyone. We have pandemics, we have environmental catastrophes, and we have civil unrest. This is the most stressful time for people that I'm aware of in my lifetime. I'm a firm believer in having fun. There was a time not so long ago there was a time not so long ago where people had fun on Friday nights. The importance of fun to our community members can't be understated. People are hurting, and I believe that live music can lift one's soul. So I'm asking you to benefit the community at large, allow people to hear live music in a safer environment and allow a business, a local business, to try to stay open during this incredibly difficult time.
Chris, could you, for the benefit of the council, could you clarify a couple items? Looks like you're going to do this on both Friday and Saturday night, is that correct?
They're playing both nights.
Okay, great.
Well, it's weather dependent.
Yeah.
And your decision dependent.
Weather's
And
looking
then,
good, though.
could you clarify, be a little more specific about the section of Franklin Street you want to close? Is it kind of like what you've done in the past for First Fridays?
Is that exactly?
Is it just to, because it says all of Franklin Street, is it just to PNC's driveway?
Yeah,
Okay.
just like we've always done it.
So north-south Vine will stay open?
Yeah,
Okay.
So not inclusive of the intersection.
correct.
So we're going to have an agreement like we've had in the past. The last one you didn't sign? I don't think I got it back.
You're correct.
But you didn't close it, so we didn't push it.
Yeah.
And so I will need that by tomorrow before you can do anything, along with the insurance document.
That's fine. Yeah, the reality is that dining on Franklin Street is just not as romantic as other spots in town.
Sunny, hot.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah,
Especially in July.
yeah. It just isn't the same.
I'll get yours tomorrow morning too. I wasn't sure on some of the specifics, so otherwise I would have had it for you tonight, Wayne. But I'm not sure what some of the specifics are going to be regarding masks and social distancing.
Well, I think with the state at level 5, what my understanding is that you still have to maintain social distancing and/or masks. I mean, masks have to be worn, other than when people are eating and drinking. That's just what is in the governor's order.
My experience has been that our customers are always very frequently mindful of that. We haven't had any issues where we've had to have a conflict with a customer about following the rules or what the rules are. So I think that's a benefit of having a locally owned business where we reinforce food flavor and the local community and local musicians. And so our clientele are different than other places.
I'd make a motion to approve the street closure request.
I will second that motion if there's no further discussion.
I had a few questions. First off, I guess I would ask council, what has changed that we're approving this versus the fireworks? And then secondly, I appreciate what you say about masks, but my experience at the local businesses in Greencastle is not that they're wearing masks. The employees aren't. So, I mean, I'm fine with it, but I'd like to hear how you intend to enforce the mask regulations that night.
I don't believe we will have to. I know if you go into Marathon or the grocery store, or if you go into certain businesses, yes, people do not wear masks.
I'm referring to, I don't want to name a business tonight because that's not my point here, but I can name several locally owned businesses, not nationally owned, where the mask thing is not worn at all. And I don't want to name them. I mean, it's, you know, at the end of the day, I'm too tired and old to deal with the mask issue. I just would like to know how you would perceive you would enforce it that night. Will you have masks available? Will you have people there asking people to put on the mask?
Masks available.
And you'll have some people assigned to asking people to put on the mask?
We've never had to ask anyone.
That wasn't my question.
Sure.
So you would have somebody assigned to help people put on the mask? To go around
I
the
will
mask?
do that.
Okay, that was all I was asking.
Well, so.
And the reality is, we are in a rural area. We have not seen the impact people have seen in urban areas. I'm
Again,
sorry, that's the reality.
I understand that. Again, none of that was my question.
So you have no problem, I mean, the council can require that you're either socially distanced or you wear a mask or both. You can make that part of your requirement to approve this.
If
The
that's
governor's
part of
exec-
the governor's order, I don't
Yeah.
see why we would need to put a stipulation to require that. We're going back to what we were doing with the Music Fest and the First Fridays. We're not looking at what the state has already laid out for us.
And I didn't ask us to do that. All I asked was a question, and I think the answer made it clear where the stance was. My question was, are you going to enforce, I didn't ask us to put it in there. I said, are you going to enforce the governor's current requirements? Are you prepared to do that?
Of course.
And you're going to have somebody there to do that.
Yes.
That's all I asked. I don't want to put it in there.
Chris, it's going to be good weather. What's your
Yes.
best guess as far as turnout? I mean, obviously you don't know, but, I mean, are we talking 20 people or 200?
Friday night, we have 50 reservations, and Saturday night, we have
Which is the
30
law.
reservations.
50
Republican
individuals?
governor.
Yeah. No, we can't have 50 separate reservations.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I know. No, there's no room. We'd have to hang them in the rafters.
Be all right.
No, I would imagine 75, 100 people. And that's more than we can fit inside. It's a safer environment. You know, I just know that if people are concerned about the well-being of our community, we need to give people the chance to have fun. Of course, we have to be safe, but we've got local musicians whose livelihood has been dramatically affected by this. We've got local people who are incredibly stressed because of the environment we're living in. And just to let people have fun and listen to some live music, I believe is a benefit to the community as a whole.
Do you think, any idea what the attendance was at the reunion last year at the end of July?
No.
Okay.
No. But they had played for us previous to that, and we had a full house.
Okay.
So we would have had 130 some people.
Chris, let me ask you, because I know that the time of the event, as you posted here, is 8 to 10. I've played with this band before, and can affirm that sometimes people want an encore. Do you think it might be prudent to request a noise waiver as well, and maybe extend it to 10:30 with the potentiality of a little encore time at the end?
I stated that we wanted to keep the street closed till 11. I thought the noise ordinance started at midnight.
No, that's 10.
It's 10?
No weekends? Okay, that's why I couldn't recall.
Yeah.
Usually we just attach a noise ordinance when they don't.
This is why I'm asking now.
That's a good question. I mean, because usually we just throw it on there as part of it.
I thought there was midnight, so I apologize.
So if we approve this, you're going to take the responsibility for enforcing the rules as far as mask and distancing, right? I mean,
I will
you're
speak
going
to
to be
people.
the mask
Yes.
police. Yeah.
I will speak to people. But honestly, based on our clientele, I don't think it will be an issue.
I agree with you. The only difference with putting it in the agreement is the governor's is a directive, ours is over our street, and you have the ability in the future, if it's not done, to not approve any.
So are you advising us to put it in? You think that,
I
I think you just made your point clear.
made my point. That's up to the council.
Would you,
If there's sufficient, we don't-
well, how about if we say that we expect that all governor directives for health and safety will be followed, which is kind of understood.
But saying you expect it and requiring are two different things.
Okay. Requiring. No, I know what you're saying.
I firmly believe that there will be a number of people there that night without masks, and Chris will not be able to enforce that. And I think we make our decision in light of that stipulation, that situation. It's going to happen.
Do we give Chris more oomph if we say it's required, though? He can say it's not him, it's the council being the
He's still not
jerks.
going to be able, he's still not going to be able to enforce it.
I don't think it's going to be an issue.
I think with your folks, your regulars.
I just don't think it's going to be an issue.
But we're setting a precedent for future.
Well, no,
I remember being at council was fun.
There's a difference. The governor has moved the state to stage 5, whereas earlier we weren't quite as far along. Now, I mean, I'm not on the governor's cabinet or involved in his health decisions, so, and that could be a separate discussion, but you know, currently he has stated that the state is at stage 5 and gatherings for up to 500 people can occur. Above that, you have to submit an event plan, but it's, you know, Chris has stated his attendance is going to be quite a bit less than that. So, I mean, I realize we're kind of in a little bit of a gray area, but, you know, the governor has still continued the mask order and social distancing. So if Chris honestly makes a good faith effort for it, you know, the governor still hasn't given any kind of authority to enforce the mask order in his directives.
yeah, that's the difference. It's really not different than what was in the original agreement that we did in June. It'll be like that one. It'll be just like what we did in June. Just that you'll be enforcing it.
It's,
So,
I'd like to call the question.
okay, who was the first on that?
Jake, and I seconded.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion?
The only thing, what about the sale of alcohol? Is that going to be all covered by the agreement?
so the laws are that you can sell to-go containers, to go off if they're sealed containers, and we'll be selling to-go containers from within our
Inside.
licensed area
Okay.
for people to take.
Anything additional? You're not
No,
going to have a beer garden or anything?
no,
Oh, no,
no,
for government? Should
no.
I leave it in there just in case you decide you might want to?
Well, we can't, yeah,
You'd have to get a
based on the way the
still
rules
get a
go, it's like, you can either, yeah, it's easier just to say, here is a cup, go have fun,
And a sealed container?
with a lid.
Okay.
And you'll clean it up, obviously.
Yeah.
No one's seconded to call the question.
Yes, I did.
Request for the question, and so all
Somebody
those in
second it?
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention.
I'll get it to you first thing tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much.
Motion carries 6 with 1 abstention. So Chris, you'll work with Lori to get all the paperwork taken care of then?
Tomorrow AM.
His brief report.
Okay, our next item of
Thanks a lot,
business
guys.
You bet.
Hope to see you guys there.
Chris.
Well, there with the camera.
is department reports. And we have, it's a little hard to tell who's online because it shows up as phone numbers, but we do have several department heads online. Rod's obviously here. So if anybody has any questions, Lori's here. We'd like to pass those through.
My only question tonight is for Rod, if he can come up.
I'm sorry, Dave.
My only question tonight is for Rod.
Okay.
Okay?
Rod?
Good evening, everybody. What can I do for you?
You were nice enough, I was out on a walk through the park the other day, and Rod took me inside to show me some of the renovations, and they look really good. And you referred to Phase 2. So my question for you and the mayor is, have we started Phase 2, and what will that involve for the public's sake?
Okay. Phase 2 will involve finishing the inside renovations. What we're looking at doing is taking the partition out in front, making a straight hallway down the middle, and then introducing some family changing rooms, restrooms and a changing room. On the outside, we're looking at doing some renovations to the shallow end. and putting in some structures and activities for the kids to play on or with, similar to what we have in the splash park. So we have some upright structures and spray geysers and that kind of thing.
Has that started, or if not, when will that start? It seems to me this time of year is the time to get in and do some of those things.
We are in the process right now. HWC is evaluating the bids that we got, and will be sending a form for us to sign, so then we can get started.
Yeah, it's already gone.
That's where we at. Yep.
Terrific.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? You do have my report. Otherwise, I'll let you peruse it on your own. I don't have anything else. Okay? Have a good night.
Thank you, Ron.
Other department questions?
I had
Mayor Dory, is Brad on the call?
Brad, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Brad's on.
I was curious whether there's been any discussion amongst Board of Works regarding leaf pickup this fall. We've been experiencing quite a drought over the last month plus, and many folks have been noting that leaves are falling earlier this year than they might otherwise have been. Has there been any discussion of maybe starting a week early on the leaf pickup?
Yes, there has been discussion. But we planned on October 26th as the start date. But due to the dry conditions, if they do fall enough to where we can at least go out and get a load of them, we will do that prior to 26.
Thank you, Brad. That I appreciate being proactive on that.
We've been having a lot of discussions, and it's kind of a monitoring situation, see what happens.
It's good to know.
Thanks, Brad.
Is Scott on the line? Is Scott on the line? Scott Zimmerman?
Yes.
Scott, this is Stacy. I saw in your report Greencastle Clean City Day is on Saturday, October 24th, where large trash items and debris items can be taken for free. Can you talk about that a little bit and tell us where we take these items and who's it open to? And
Clerk Treasurer was going to report that.
Did I steal your thunder? Forget that, Scott. Forget it.
I just was wanting to note that the various property owners who have received exterior violations in the past received a special invitation to be sure and participate.
I will sit tight and wait for details from our clerk treasurer.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stacy wasn't one of those people who got the special invitation.
I think I'm good, yeah.
And how many guys were at the front door with that special invitation?
Any other questions for department heads? Okay, hearing none. Oscar, maybe if you can stick around if there's any last-minute questions on the water issue, that'd be great. Otherwise, I think everybody else can enjoy the rest of the evening with their families. Next, we'll go into mayor's reports, and I would like to share a thank you note with all of you, signed by all the choir students at Greencastle Middle School and Greencastle High School, as well as my wife, who's the choir director, thanking our staff and council for the support with the choir mass. So I'll pass that down. Again, we are at stage 5. However, to remind people, masks and social distancing are required. I'll let Linda talk about the CARES Act during her report. I think the Vectren project is winding down on Houck Road and Arlington. They still have some work to do, but a little less activity than before. Zinc Mill Road construction continues at full speed ahead. Again, I'd like to thank our staff for all their work relative to the coronavirus. I did receive some good news from Rob Harper regarding the Jackson Street project. Paving will begin on Monday and likely open later that week, either on Friday or the following Monday. The parking lot that council was concerned about is open and operating. I will say on Jackson Street, they did find a few surprises down there, including what we think was a bridge from the interurban that used to run through town that has just been buried and left underneath the surface of the land there. YMCA project, we're still working on some of the details of the agreement. We passed some issues on to the Y folks for them to get back to us on. I've also been working with Dennis Weatherford on some things, and so we're continuing to work on details on that. Tennis courts are open, and we understand Rod has reported at the park board meeting that lots of people are playing pickleball, and he took care of pool improvements. Street work is underway. Hopefully that'll be done quickly with the good weather that we're having. We're also working on a couple other projects. Wayfinding is going into production of the signs. They are going to be starting on the phosphate removal project. The construction meeting on that was today. That's out at the wastewater treatment plant. The downtown parking lot, still working on some designs for that. Whispering Winds continues to move forward quite nicely. 15-plus homes have received permits out there. If you drive out there, you'll see a lot of activity. Work continues on the apartment complex. Some good news, our unemployment claim numbers continue to trend downward. Hopefully that will continue. And there's a number of area businesses that are hiring, some seasonal help, some full-time, long-term assistance. So there are opportunities for folks out there if they would choose to pursue those. Happy to answer any questions. Hearing none, I'll turn the floor over to Linda. She's got a couple of nice projects to talk about.
So, Greencastle Clean City Day is October the 24th. It will be at the Greencastle High School parking lot, and it will run from 9 to approximately 1 o'clock. We will be sending out, and you'll be receiving here within the next couple of days, a letter from the City of Greencastle. So when you get a City of Greencastle letter, you'll want to open it because it will give you the instructions on what they can take at the Clean City Day and different options. So the truth is, you can pretty much bring about anything. We're taking mattresses, furniture, light construction debris. We will take up to 4 tires, 2 TV sets, large appliance, different things like that. We are also taking, Habitat for Humanity will be out there that day, and they will be taking wet paint that has not had kitty litter added to it, and that paint will be taken to a place in Ohio and recycled, and Habitat will then get credit back for paint to use in their new home that they're building out at the corner of Auburn Pond and Round Barn Road. So that's exciting. So they would so bring wet paint. We will be taking that wet paint from you immediately and then going from there. So the other thing is that the West Central Waste will be open that day. If you take your letter with you or your utility bill, you can dump your waste for free there too. So all the dumping and waste removal will be free to Greencastle trash customers at the high school parking lot. We will have our list there. You will have to show ID. You can come and go as many times as you want. So we're really hoping it's a good time to get your yards and home and everything cleaned up for the winter. And then if you are disabled or have special accommodation, your letter will give instructions for that, and you can reach out and you will call Lori Hardwick here at City Hall to talk about that.
And that'll be on our next water bill?
You will be getting a separate
Separate,
letter
okay.
from the city, and has everything included in it. We're taking mattresses and everything, so it will all be free.
Linda, what about other viewers who are watching this? You know, the Putnam County Toxaway Day was for the whole county.
That was for the whole county.
What about somebody who doesn't live in the city who wants to participate in this?
Nope.
Okay,
It's
not
only
possible.
city
Okay.
trash.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
So this is kind of an extra benefit that you're getting for your $10 a month trash. we're working with Jax. Jax is doing it. We are paying Jax, so we hope that this becomes a once or twice a year, kind of a spring and a summer thing, because, you know, it's important to keep things cleaned up, and it's harder to get things disposed of, I know, so we're gonna kind of part of that, so.
And that's the same time as Drug Take Back Day.
Yep, it's also the same time as Drug Take Back Day. They will be located on the upper part of the high school parking lot, so you can go through there if you have that. No questions asked, give that to the police department, then you can come on down and meet us at the front and bring us paint. And it needs to be wet paint, and we'll take any paint. Isn't that right, Jake? You can take any paint?
Yep.
Habitat can take any paint. And it will be recycled, so that's really a good program. And then we'll help you out, get your trucks and stuff unloaded and get you moving on.
Jax, you know, they deserve a lot of kudos in this because they helped us out last year, successful last year. Tax Away Days does not take things like furniture and mattresses and things like that, so this kind of helps fill the gap for our local residents.
And the yard waste, we will not take it at the high school. It will have to go out to the site out past Prindle and the county highway garage. But if you can take a letter or your utility bill, they will take it for free that day. So, then the CARES Act. The CARES Act is the city of Greencastle has about, what is it, $341,000 that we're going to be able to get from the state. It has totally changed on how we get that. So basically now and you'll be seeing a resolution next month from me. We can send in all of our public safety payroll from from April 1st through September 30th, and they will reimburse that in full. And then when we get that money, then we can pay off what we want that applies to the CARES Act, our hazard pay, and then whatever left we would then place in the general fund to cover whatever. So we'll have a resolution on that next, but I have literally just sent, the mayor had to sign the paper, he just signed it, and I've sent it over to Indiana Financing Authority, who approves that, and hopefully here in about a week I get a check and we'll start taking care of that. So
literally the state changed the rules 2 weeks ago.
They literally did, because in fact they called me because I had already filed for part of ours, and they called me and said, hey, we're going to put your application on hold, payroll information for police and fire, and we're just going to pay it all from that. So
cool. Linda, I imagine, does that include the hazard pay and stuff as well?
Yep. Yeah. So literally, I submit a claim for $1 million because that's how much payroll we spent for police and fire during that period of time, and they will send me a check for the $341,680.
It's just not the hazard pay; it's all the pay.
It's all of their pay.
Wow.
See, the federal program allowed for that, but for some reason the states were able to impose additional rules, and the state had narrowed the eligible expenses, but then all of a sudden nobody was spending the money, and they realized that they need to change the rules, open up the rules a little bit. And now the other thing is, we also still have access to FEMA money, so some of the expenses that maybe would have qualified under this program, we're going to submit under FEMA, and in that case, we'll get 80% reimbursement, so we'll see what we can do under that program as well.
So you're saying that all of our police and fire pay for that period?
Yep.
So we're going to have some surplus.
Well, we've got things that we bought that we thought we were going to spend the money on, like when we helped out the schools, about $40,000, and we'll reimburse the hazardous payback. Some of our departments have bought different things. We've bought, equipment.
But this is this is all good.
So we're going to reimburse all that, and then anything that is in excess, we will then it will go to the general fund.
But when the state opened up the rules, originally we would have to submit multiple reimbursement applications. They wanted certain kinds of things grouped together. Payroll was a separate thing. capital projects were another thing.
There were 6 things that had to qualify.
This makes the paperwork a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes it so easy. So I just submitted everybody's payroll sheets,
Sounds great.
report, submitted it all. So we hope in about a week or so we have it. And then the requirement the State Board of Accounts is for you guys to tell me in a resolution that it's okay to do this with the money.
Just to be clear, we only get 341.
Yeah, we only get 341.
$1 million.
No, we're not getting $1 million, but
Make sure that
it's 341,688, I think is the
Sounds good.
email.
We'll max it out.
We're going to max it out, we're going to pay off what we spent that applied to that, and then we'll apply it to the general fund. If there's anything else that comes up that lingers on, then we'll file for FEMA stuff and go from there.
Great news.
So we might have a little extra, but we've pretty much spent most of our money by helping out the schools and,
Good.
but we did get, we all now have pretty much the ability to work from home, which we've never had before, so that, that didn't break the bank, but it did cost a little bit that wasn't budgeted for, but it's now become a really good tool to have, so. I guess that's all I have for right now.
Mark, turn the floor over to counselors.
I want to thank the schools, your wife and all the music students and choir students and everything else for sending us that nice card. That was very unexpected, but very appreciated. And
I can assure you the kids, it's been a big help to the kids.
Great.
The schools.
Super. So, other than that, I really don't have anything else. So, I'll go to Stacy.
Nothing really except early voting has started. I encourage people, please vote. We want Putnam County to be heard, so make time to go early. Or if you have questions, you can go to our Facebook page or our website page and get all the information as far as when and where you can vote.
I think Jared caught my backside in the paper tomorrow.
I noticed that. I noticed that.
And my wife's too.
Yeah, voting together.
That's it.
On my side, you stole my thunder, so I'll uplift that as you make your plan to vote, also make your plan to get a flu shot this month. 'Tis the season, as we'll say.
That's tomorrow for me.
Yeah, excellent.
The Putnam County Mural Project continues to make waves. It was featured on Inside Indiana Business. Visit Indiana had listed it as their in the top 20 public art destinations in Indiana. So that's going to continue to make the 4th Ward shine for years to come.
Yep.
The only thing I want to add to all of this, and this is really a prelude to what we'll talk about later, but this is my first time going through the water rate situation and study and all that, and I just want to tip of the hat to the mayor and to the clerk treasurer, our city attorney, and the Board of Works. It's been a very enlightening project, and I'm really impressed with what they've come up with.
I just want to draw attention to the Putnam County Leadership Academy, which has kicked off in Greencastle and some surrounding areas as well. There's a group of 10 leaders going through that program right now. Just a great opportunity for some exposure to our community here in Greencastle and the county, and something to look for as businesses and even some of our departments here. If there are individuals that you think could benefit and are kind of emerging leaders in your organization, next fall the Putnam County Leadership Academy is going to be, I think they want to bring in about 20 leaders, so just something to think about as that program continues to hold events and stuff throughout our community, just to be aware of that opportunity in the future. And just wanting to wish families a safe and happy Halloween as we go out and try to make some normalcy out of this situation. And thanks to Mike and Main Street for their effort in putting together that event for us. So I would encourage families to show up there at Big Walnut.
I really don't have much. You took some of it. I think it's great what they're doing for Halloween. And, while I might have sounded critical of Wassers, I think our community's really trying to find ways to make things work. I'll even give a shout out to DePaul. I don't usually do that, but if you look on the DePaul COVID dashboard and you see all the problems going on around the country, the DePaul student body has done, I don't want to jinx it, but it's done amazingly well. Very few active cases on campus total, and that certainly helps our community by not having that moved into our community. So just do want to note that. That's what I got.
Okay. Next item of business on our agenda is approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes, the regular session of September 10th and the special session of September 23rd.
I didn't notice anything, so I'll make the motion to approve both minutes at the same time. If that's okay with people, we combine them.
I will second the simultaneous approval of the minutes.
You can tell they have it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any further discussions or questions? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstentions? Okay. Next, we have the city claims.
Yep. I reviewed them. I know that Dave did too, maybe others have. So we've got the payroll is $451,264.44. Pensions $14,473.03. Direct accounts payable $288,854.15, and regular accounts payable of $629,636.36, for a grand total of $1,384,227.98. In the direct accounts payable, it's, we've got our annual workman's comp premium of $69,278. Our property and liability insurance coverage, we're premium poor this month, $141,774. In redevelopment, we've got several vendors, civil engineering consultants for $29,706.75. On zinc mill inspection, I think. No, lots of different things. I think that's the way I'm reading it. And Foyt's, I'm sorry, I butcher that every month. Foyt's construction for just $3,157.57. So that's pretty much what makes up the $288,854.15. In the regular accounts payable, we do have five alarm fire and safety for police for $6,861.88. I know it's police, but I don't know whether it's. Do you remember what that is? Okay. Okay.
That is radios.
Yeah, radios.
Radios
on the
that
three new
paid to have
2020
installed.
Yeah,
cars.
radios that we had to have installed.
Okay. And then we have $2,073 at Double H Properties, which is also somebody else's full name on the claims over here, but that's for weed control. We've got Foyt's Construction over here on the regular accounts payable for $488,068.69 for zinc mill project. We've got a new lawnmower, it'd be probably Parker.
Yep,
Park. Okay, from Humphreys for $13,500. Joe Spiker Park repairs and sidewalks and street materials, I think, for $8,186.17. We've got quite a few vehicle maintenance. We've got M&F Mobile Services for fire department for vehicle annual maintenance contracts as well as some repairs. McAllister for cemetery for some vehicle repairs, and McQueen Equipment for fire, back to the fire on vehicle repairs and maintenance. And all that totals up to probably better part of $10,000 between all those claims there. Also on fire, we've got $3,207 for some miscellaneous to MES, which is fire tools and miscellaneous equipment. Then we got to Motorola, 3 radios for the 2020 Ford Explorers for $12,875. And I assume that's what we then paid for the radios over here, or maybe that was the radios.
Not for installation.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, comprehensive services for park improvements for $3,146. Public safety, medical for fire department for annual physicals and lab work for just under $8,000, $7,947. And last, Wabash Valley Asphalt for some street materials for $1,042.44. And so obviously of that $629,000 for regular accounts payable, the $488,000 plus to for Zinc Mill project to Foyt's Construction is the biggest part of that. So anyway, with those items pointed out, I would move for approval of the claims as submitted.
I'll be glad to second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as submitted. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any negative or abstentions?
Abstention.
Okay. Next, we have old business, and we have 3 items under old businesses. All ordinances. The first ordinance is ordinance number 2020-6. This is second reading. An ordinance for appropriations and tax rates. And this was read in its entirety last time, so we only need to read it by title only. Is there a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2020-6 on second reading?
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance 2020-6 on second reading. Any questions or discussion?
No changes made, I assume?
Nope.
Okay.
And I think Linda wants to make sure everybody signs this before they leave because she would like to submit this to the state.
I have to submit it.
Oh, has to submit. Oh, yeah. So
She'll
all
come.
those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
She'll come banging on your door tonight if you don't sign it.
Can I make a comment, please?
Go ahead.
When you sign this, sign it the way it's on here, and you will need to make a X in the, whether you're approving it, you're not approving it, or you abstain, okay? So I should see, it looks like 7 yes.
And you need to sign these ones that are with the blue on them.
Yeah, the pretty blue ones.
Okay, our next item of old business is ordinance 2020-7. Again, this is second reading. This is an ordinance establishing the size of the departments of the city government of the city of Greencastle, Indiana, fixing salaries for the employees of such departments, and fixing the salaries of certain other appointed officials for the year 2021. Again, this can be by title only. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we pass ordinance 2020-8.
20-7?
Oh, 7, sorry, got ahead of myself, 2020-7.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2020-7. Is there any further questions or discussion?
No changes made on that as well?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstentions? It passes unanimously. Okay, next item of old business is ordinance 2020-8. This is an ordinance fixing the salaries of the elected officers of the city of Greencastle for the year 2021. Again, can be read by title only. Okay, motion.
So moved.
Motion and a second to accept or to adopt ordinance 2020-8 as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstentions? Okay, passes unanimously. That concludes our old business. Now, new business, we have ordinance 2020-9. This is an ordinance amending sections 9-11, 9-12, 9-13, 9-14, 9-15, 9-16, 9-17, and 9-21 of the Greencastle City Code approving water rates and charges. Whereas the city of Greencastle, Indiana owns and operates a municipal water system and collects rates and charges for the use of and the services rendered by the system pursuant to IC 8-1.5-3-8, whereas due to the increased cost of providing water to the customers of the Greencastle Department of Waterworks, it is necessary for an increase in water rates. whereas the existing rates and charges do not produce sufficient revenue to pay all of the necessary expenses incident to the operation of such water system as delineated in IC 8-1.5-3-8, including maintenance costs, operating charges, upkeep, repairs, depreciation, taxes, and payments in lieu of taxes, interest charges on bonds, and other obligations, to provide a sinking fund for the liquidation of bonds and other evidences of indebtedness, to provide a debt service reserve for bonds or other obligations, to provide adequate funds to be used as working capital, adequate funds for making improvements, and a reasonable return on the utility plant, and therefore do not produce revenue sufficient to maintain such water system properly in a sound physical and financial condition to render adequate and efficient service. Accordingly, said existing rates and charges are not reasonable and just for services within the meaning and provisions of IC 8-1.5-3-8. And whereas it will be necessary to increase the existing rates and charges in order to provide sufficient funds to meet the financial requirements of said municipal water system, and an ordinance establishing a new schedule of rates and charges should be adopted by the City of Greencastle, Indiana Common Council. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that the enumerated water rates and charges as set forth in the Greencastle City Code 9-11 through 9-17 and 9-21 be amended and read as follows. Section 9-11, monthly metered water rate schedule. For monthly consumption, the rate per 100 cubic feet in 2021 will be $4.92. In 2022, $5.17, and in 2023 and after, $5.49. The next 8,000 cubic feet, the rate will be $3.23, $3.71, $3.94. Over 10,000 cubic feet, the rate will be $2.61, $3.01, $3.20. Contract users, wholesale rate is $2.78, $3.01, $3.20. Section 9-12, minimum monthly metered service charge schedule for a 5/8 3/4 inch meter. In 2021, the minimum charge will be $10.97. 2022, the minimum charge will be $11.53. 2023 and after, $12.24. 1 inch meter, $29.27. 3076, 3266, an inch and a half meter, 6251, 6569, 6976, 2 inch meter, 10425, 10955, 11633, 3 inch meter, 21018, 22088, 23455, 4 inch meter, 370 and 1 cent. 388.84, 412.91, 6 inch meter, 828.97, 871.17, 925.09. Section 9-13, public fire protection charge schedule. Monthly public fire connection fees. A public fire protection fee shall be charged to Greencastle Water Department customers for the installation, repair, maintenance, use, and operation of its fire protection system, which shall include all public fire hydrants. These fees shall not be charged to contract wholesale users because they do not use the fire protection fire hydrant system. So we have meters of 3/4 through 12 inch, and the rates will be for the smallest meter, 5/8 3/4 in 2021, $4.24. 2022, $4.46, 2023 and after, $4.73. 1 inch meter, 10.61, 11.15, 11.84, inch and a half meter, 21.21, 22.29, 23.67, 2 inch meter, 33.94, 35.67, 37.88, 3 inch meter, 63.64, 66.88, 71.02, 4 inch meter, 106.07, 111.47, 118.37, 6 inch meter, 212.13, 222.96, 236.75, 8-inch meter, 339.40, 356.73, 378.80, 10-inch meter, 487.89, 512.80, 544.53, 12-inch meter, 912.14, 958.72, 1,018.03. Annual private fire connection fees. Size of connection ranges from 4-inch to 12-inch. Charge per annum is for 2021, 2022, and 2023 and after. 4-inch connection, 2021, 374.14, 2022, 393.19, 2023, 417.53, 6-inch, 823.13, 865.03, 918.57, 8-inch, $1,471.61, $1,546.52, $1,642.25, 10-inch, $2,319.65, $2,437.72, $2,588.61, 12-inch, $3,367.29, $3,538.68, $3,757.73. Section 9.9-14, contract users, water rate schedule, metered consumption, volumetric rate of all wholesale consumption per 100 cubic feet. In 2021, that'll be $2.78, 2022, $3.01, 2023, and after, $3.20. Section 9-15, late payment. Payments for water service are due on the 10th of each month. Late payments shall be subject to the following. A, city shall allow a 1 business day grace period after the 10th of the month before assessing a late payment charge. All bill for water service not paid on or before that date shall be subject to a late payment charge of 10% of the bill. B, the city may disconnect water service at any account where payment has not been received within 30 days of the due date. There shall be a $60 and no dollars or $60 reconnection fee for every service that is reconnected as a result of disconnection due to late payment. Okay. Section 9-16, bad check charge. When a customer's check is not honored due to insufficient funds, a charge for processing will be made by the waterworks in the amount of $40. 9-17, tap-in charge. The following fees shall be paid to the Department of Waterworks to cover the cost of installing new services. Tap-in charges, meter size 5/8 to 3/4, charges $1,200. 1-inch meter, $1,800. 1-inch tap with two 5/8-inch meters, $2,400. 1.5-inch meter, $4,500. 2-inch meter, $5,800. 3-inch meter, $8,785. 4-inch meter, $15,625. 6-inch meter, $15,625. Meters larger than 6 inches shall be the cost of labor, materials, power equipment, transportation, and overhead costs incurred in installing the tap, but shall be no less than the charge for a 6-inch meter tap, as noted above. B, if the water main water line from which a service is being connected is located in the street pavement, additional charges for special backfill and pavement repair shall be assessed. If the main water line being tapped is located in a state highway, additional charges shall be assessed made to cover state highway cut permit fees. C, in the event service is disconnected for non-payment, the reconnection charge shall be $60. When service is turned off for non-payment of the bill, or whether for any reason beyond the control of the city a reestablishment of service is required by any one customer, this charge shall be assessed by the city to cover the cost of discontinuance and reestablishment of the service. The charge, together with any arrears due to the city, shall be paid by the customer before service shall be reestablished. D, customers are responsible for hiring and paying a contractor to install the connection to the city's waterworks system. The city shall be responsible for furnishing the parts necessary to connect to the city's water line. to the customer's water line and shall inspect the work being done by the contractor. All contractors hired to perform the above work must be approved in advance by the City of Greencastle Water Superintendent. E, the city shall be available for service calls at no charge to customers from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. during regular city workdays. There shall be no charge at any time for a service call related to a suspected leak. All other after-hour service calls not related to leaks may be charged to the customer at the rate of $40 per call. F, there shall be no refund of tap fees if the customer reduces the size of a meter once the meter has been put in use. In the event that a customer increases a meter size, the customer shall pay the difference between the tap-in charge for the initial meter and the charge for the larger sized meter. Section 9-21, water service deposit fee. The amount of the refundable water service deposit fee shall be $100 for service provided to the customer. Deposits may be waived by the clerk treasurer or his or her designee for customers with satisfactory prior payment records. B, after 2 years of on-time current payment of bills, the deposit shall be refunded to the customer without interest. C, if there is a disruption in service or payment, another deposit may be required. D, a deposit made that has remained unclaimed by the customer for more than 60 days after the termination of the customer's water service shall become the property of the municipality. If a customer comes back to the utility office at a later date and can prove he or she is owed the deposit, the utility office will return the deposit to the customer. All other terms and conditions contained in Greencastle Code 9-11, 9-12, 9-13, 9-14, 9-15, 9-16, 9-17, and 9-21, which are not specifically amended herein, shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor, and the above rates shall become effective January 1, 2021. And the ordinance does include proper signature lines.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 2020-9, an ordinance amending sections 911 through 917 and 912 of the Greencastle City Code approving water rates and charges.
Is this a moment to bring up a typo that should be corrected?
Several.
We'll get the typos fixed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I'd like to know.
Well, we can,
There are a couple of them.
We need a second first.
I'd like to just ask a question as I...
Let's go ahead and get a second if we could.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, questions, comments? Go ahead, Jake.
So I would just like to draw attention to this again, and it's something that I'm really specifically drawing attention to. The and after 2023 rates. What is the plan in place? I understand that there are resources that need to be allocated to doing a rate study. And I really do appreciate the work that's been done. I really cannot stress that. But what is the plan, or is there a plan in place to address this in a proactive way that is not going to cause us to be at those rates 2023 and after to 2024, 2025, 2026 when we're faced with having to do an increase again? So I'm just asking that question. I'm drawing attention to that because I do think it's important.
I think we're looking at a couple of different things. One, our next step is to apply for the grant. Depending on the outcome of that, we will perhaps apply a second time, because sometimes you don't always get a grant on the first try. But depending on the outcome of how the grant plays out, we will probably have to start looking at rates again in 2022 moving forward. And then based on the comments that were made during our study sessions and things, we probably should look at rates every 2 or 3 years. If inflation and costs stay relatively low, it might be able to stretch it out to 3 years. If all of a sudden we see a bit of inflation arise, we'd probably want to do it a little sooner.
Is there a way to put a clause? I think what Jake's asking is there a way to put a clause? I don't want to speak for. Is there a way to put a clause in here, like a kill clause, that would say council has to reapprove this?
I'm the one who added and after because I didn't want there to be a kill clause.
Okay.
Because we don't have a crystal ball and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. This pandemic has been a perfect example of that. The governor saying you can't do water shutoffs anymore, for instance, things like that. Things like that happen now that we know. And so to say we will stop at this date is what happens if it's not done for whatever reason.
I guess I didn't phrase it right, but I got what you're saying.
Can I make a comment? Go ahead. So, you know, one thing that you look at, and it's pretty spelled out in the beginning, is that, you know, the reason we're making an increase is because this year we will have a loss. Part of it is because of COVID, but we had, you know, needed to do it. In 2 or 3 years, if everything can stay consistent and water usage picks up or something changes, we may not have to make it a change. So the only reason we're making an increase is because of our current financial position is we are not collecting enough money to cover our expenses and to improve on our system. So, you know, as we've known that, you know, it's been since 2014 that we've had an increase. That's 6 years. We've just now gotten to the point where we cannot meet our expenses with our revenues, so we're making an increase. Hopefully we can go another 6 years, but, you know, we will continually have kind of a pulse on this. And one of the reasons we cannot put in, because the state statute really doesn't allow us to put in a clause that we just arbitrarily add something every year, because we may not have the need that we need to add something every year. So, you know, that's one reason why we don't sit here and say, okay, in 2024, we want to put a 3% in here or something like that, because we may not need to at 3%. We may need a 6, or we don't need anything. So, and if we would get the loan, and everything is improved since COVID and things like that, we might ask for you to rescind doing a rate increase that 3rd year also.
And it's not like we don't, you're the numbers people, look at this all the time.
Right.
And review it all the time. And I know Dave's asked questions for the last 4 years about questioning about balances and things that are in reserve, and why do we have this, and do we need this, and should we, you know, do something about that.
I view that as part of our responsibility as members of the council. Understand Jake's concern to stay on top of this and to see where the trends are and look at the balances, and we can raise the question at any point in time, it seems to me.
And I will tell you that I look at it monthly to see if the water or the wastewater or even the cities, you know, what if we have any negative balances per se. I will go ahead and tell you that I have reached out to one of our consultants that we use. We could, in the future, not to muddy the waters here, but in the future we could do a very, very extensive rate review to where they would come in. It would be approximately a 3-month review. They would then sit down and there would be a lot of things we'd look at, whether we go to a flat fee to cover certain expenses, and then there would be it'd become a very multi-tier. There would be an industrial rate, a commercial rate, a residential rate, and probably a government rate. But it would be based on what consumptions they make or how much those particular entities make. That comes at a price tag of at least $50,000 plus. But CPAs are expensive, or can be expensive. So really, I thought for something that was a 3-month, sorry, Mark, 3-month, my husband's a CPA, a 3-month project, I did not think that $50,000 was really that unreasonable. No. But, so it's something for y'all to think about if we want to move towards that, if we think that our current way of people paying for water is not the best way, and there, you know, it needs to be updated or changed, because it is a known fact that across the country water usage is declining, and it does, and our system is set up to you pay based on how much water you use. So we may need in the future, because we are conserving more water, to redo our rate structure.
Did that when rates go up?
No, they could go down. I mean, what may happen is you might have a base that you'll automatically pay $20, I'm just using artificially, pay $20, and then your rate of water might be $2 for every 100 cubic feet, because we're capturing certain costs in the base amount.
That's not going to solve it tonight. I was expecting a much bigger number for the consultant. I'm not totally opposed to.
Looking at that down the road, and it could be at any time.
I mean,
we need to raise the rates based on this, and then we could have a consultant come in and redo that, because the work that they are going to do is very intense.
I understand. I mean, we did that with the salaries, and that helped us.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to bringing in somebody. I mean, I think you all did great, but outside eyes are always outside eyes.
I think that we're past I honestly think that we need to do it, because our rate structure is based on water usage. And as long as water usage continues to go down, our rates are going to continue to get much, much higher.
Well, let's look to build that into next year's budget, but let's deal with this tonight.
Yep.
But I think we can look to put that into next year's budget.
Right, because that will come out of utility. And it may, it's not going to come out of our city budget. It will come out of the utilities budget. And we might think that it's necessary to bundle it with having them also looking at wastewater.
Well, if we're going to do one, we should.
That price tag may go up to 75 or something.
If we're going to do it, I'd rather do it right and get it done and get it to us than. Anyway, let's deal with tonight.
One of the things that I think the public needs to understand, and I'm not sure we've said this tonight, it's been said in the discussions, and that is that the wastewater cost is not going up.
No, it is not going
And
up.
trash is not, but a little heads up that trash services that have been flat for a long time, it's getting increasingly difficult. And so we have to be looking down the road in the not too distant future when that contract is up, that we may have to make a tough decision about paying more for trash services. So those are the three parts of that bill that every one of us gets from your office. And I just want to add those two things.
I did give to you on your desk, I did give you one that shows what a current total bill at a 5 is, and that currently is $66.82. And when we add a 5 with the new bill and the fire protection added, at a 5, it will go to $73.64. So, a few dollars. But it's not outrageous. If I look at the 5, $66.82 is current, and a person that has a 5, that's their total utility bill. Trash, sewage would go to $73.47. And that includes the new water protection added on.
So now there'll be 4 parts to the bill instead of 3.
Yep, there'll be 4 things.
Well, really 5. The state gets a little dig in.
Yeah, you get paid sales tax on that, so, on the water only.
On the water only.
Water only.
Not sewage, not trash.
Right,
And not fire protection either, right?
and not fire protection.
Unless there are any other comments, I'd like to call the question, but I want to leave the floor open before I do
Well, I
that.
want to, if I could, Travis, I don't know if you're just sitting here for enjoyment, but I mean, we certainly have never stopped.
I've been here through all these meetings, I haven't seen a lot.
But we've never stopped the audience from speaking, so if you wanted to say something.
No further comments.
Okay.
We do appreciate it.
Well, in light of that, I'll call the question.
There's been a motion, but not a second. Right?
Yes.
Oh, is that right? We didn't have a second?
No, she said, we have Dave Maureen.
We also have typos to fix.
Okay, any final questions or anything?
Just send me those and I'll have them for the next meeting.
What's that, Lori? Oh,
Send
typos.
out typos.
Yeah.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of adopting ordinance 20-9 as presented, but we'll make the typo corrections. Please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Passes on first reading unanimously.
The next meeting, we'll have a public hearing, so public's welcome to come. We'll also be sending out, in the meantime, notices. It's required of certain of our customers, and just to be on the safe side, we send it to all of our customers, just so that everyone has notice of the public hearing and what the rates will be.
Great.
Correct. We do send it to they will receive a detailed layout of what we just read in this ordinance, and it will come to every utility customer.
Linda and Melanie have spent an inordinate amount of time on this.
Once you get through it, once you get through this and budget and everything else, back and
Because all these changes have to then be going.
Yeah, that's right. Darn.
Yeah.
Okay, next item of new business is ordinance 2020-10, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2020-1, instituting a moratorium on water shutoffs and late payment fines due to threat of COVID-19 virus. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Greencastle passed ordinance 2020-1 on March 25th, 2020, instituting a moratorium on water shutoffs and late payment fines due to the threat of COVID-19. At the time, the governor had placed restrictions on places of employment and many people were unable to work. Whereas the governor has now declared that the state of Indiana is now in stage 5 of reopening and most people have returned back to work, now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council of the City of Greencastle hereby, 1, repeals ordinance 2020-1 and there's no longer a moratorium on shutting off water for non-payment of bills. 2, the requirement for payment of water bills will resume as described in Chapter 9, Article 2 of the Greencastle City Code, and all outstanding balances for unpaid water bills shall be due and owing and be subject to late payment charges on November 10, 2020. 3, the clerk treasurer shall have the authority to enter into payment plan agreements with customers who are in arrears on their accounts due to COVID-19, ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle at its meeting this blank day of blank 2020 with proper signature lines.
Can we state that we're going to start having late payment charges on November 10th when this won't be passed till November 12th? 12th? Because it's an ordinance.
Did I get the dates wrong on the...
It says that in Section 2 there, it's subject to late payment charges on November 10th, 2020. And the second reading won't occur until the 12th of November.
So if people don't pay on the 10th, then there would be payments on that. So do we have to do it to December the 10th? Payments?
Maybe. Or are we going to have a special meeting?
Have to have a special meeting.
Special meeting in October, later in October.
Oh, we do have a special.
Yeah, we could put that on the agenda.
Let's do that.
For this to be second reading, and that would help us a whole bunch.
Yeah, good call.
Good call. Thanks, Mark.
And Linda, we talked about you having some resources at the desk through the Away Home Shelter and other places beyond homeless that people can get help.
So we have sent out letters.
Right.
And have told folks that this would be coming, and that we are here to help them, to work things out. We have had a few people that have called in, taken care of their bills, set up on payment arrangements.
Good.
But we still have those that have not. So we're here to get people going, to help them out, to get them started, to let them know where there's different resources. Some folks have taken advantage of some of those resources, so we're here to help.
Okay.
And not, we are not here to want to turn off anybody's water for non-payment, but we're here to help people out.
Right.
Turning off water or turning off electricity or anything is not going to make any, doesn't do us any good, doesn't do the customers.
Doesn't do anybody any good, so.
That's fine.
Is there any need for a public hearing at that October meeting?
No, not for
I
this.
would
just
guess
for-
not, but I'm asking you folks who deal with us all the time. And have we finalized the date for that? I know we're looking at the 22nd or
Looks
the
like
20th.
the 22nd, based on the responses I received earlier today. I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-10.
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 2020-10.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2020-10 as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Ordinance passes on first reading. Our last item of new business is ordinance 2020-11, an ordinance terminating the first responder COVID-19 benefit. Whereas the novel coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, quickly spread across the country, posing great risk to parts of our community and creating a public health emergency. Whereas on March 6, 2020, Governor Eric Holcomb declared that a public health emergency existed throughout the state of Indiana as a result of COVID-19 and issued subsequent orders and directives, some of which give local law enforcement agencies responsibility of enforcement of the orders and directives. Whereas on March 25, 2020, the Common Council passed Ordinance 2020-4 as amended by 2020-5, providing additional pay to police officers and firefighters due to the nature of the additional duties and risks arising from COVID-19. Whereas Governor Holcomb has now declared that the state of Indiana is now in stage 5 of reopening, lifting many of the previous restrictions that had been put in place. Therefore, be it ordained that the Common Council of the City of Greencastle hereby repeals Ordinance 2020-4 and Ordinance 2020-5 and terminates the first responder COVID-19 benefit effective the employee pay period beginning November 21, 2020. Ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle at its regular meeting this blank day of blank 2020 with proper signature lines. I did call and speak with both our police chief and fire chief, and both were generally expecting that this was going to be ending at some point later this fall. And I think, and both said most of the employees, felt that it was going to be ending soon.
So that works out to end that, that begins their pay period in the 21st, so they will go 2 pay periods because they're both December. They will be paid in December for these, so basically they're going 2 pay periods where they would not receive hazard pay this year. So they will have received hazard pay all the way up through the month of November, and then they're basically, and a couple of things are happening in December. Is next month I'll bring a resolution to you guys to agree if you want to, if you're going to pay the bonuses. And we also do have a insurance holiday, so money that they might have missed in this, they're probably, it's going to get made up for it. Other things that hopefully you guys will approve to happen in December.
And then in January, the new salaries.
And then in January 1, they will start their new salaries.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2020-11
Yep.
on first reading.
Second. We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2020-11 on first reading as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Ordinance 2020-11 passes on first reading. That concludes the business for the evening. I will gladly entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn. I will second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much for the effort this evening.
I have an ordinance here that needs to be signed.
And we will be sending some stuff around.